This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington are well-known individuals for what they have achieved in their lives as leaders. They are recognized as significant leaders of African American society during the period towards the end of the 19th century to the beginning of the 20th century. Although they were both leaders concerned with the same community, the African American, they often disagreed on some aspects, for instance, the strategies to be adopted for the sake of allowing prosperity of the African Americans both socially and economically. This piece of work gives critical information that helps compare and contrast the two leaders. Similarities between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Although W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington were distinct leaders governing African American society, they have some similarities regarding their leadership styles as well as their general life. One similarity is that they both advocated for the improvement of African Americans and engaged in activities aimed at achieving this. They were both educated and had a good understanding of leadership and the different styles that could be applied to get things done. Both Du Bois and Washington died as heroes, having accomplished a lot concerning fighting for equality. Du Bois' legacy as an informative writer and a strong racial leader, especially being an Afro-American, has lived to the present. Washington has also been remembered for his realistic movements, ensuring that African Americans achieved the best without interrupting the status quo. This made him receive a lot of power and authority, which in turn enabled him to perpetrate even more things for which he is remembered today. He appeared in the United States postage stamp and the 50-cent coin. Even though W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington were very different in their leadership philosophies, they both influenced the black people in the United States of America into what they have come to be today by enlightening them on their rights and helping them to achieve them. They both came at a critical moment after Reconstruction, when the status of African Americans in Southern American society weakened as they lost access to power, social, political, and economic. During the transition of African American from a state of power to powerlessness, Du Bois and Washington came to their rescue. Differences between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. There are some notable differences between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington in terms of their leadership undertakings and general life. W.E.B. Du Bois believed that civil rights could be attained through revolution movements, while Booker T. Washington insisted that civil rights could be achieved through evolution. According to Booker Washington, African Americans would only achieve success after reaching a certain level of development in various aspects. He, therefore, advocated for the togetherness of African Americans through carrying out processes aimed at development as well as emphasizing financial progress and education prosperity. This was meant to empower them with relevant skills and knowledge that would help them to be involved in productive sectors of the economy. They were, however, required to wait before engaging in political activities. This would make the blacks evolve from their poor status to a position close to the whites. Du Bois W.E.B., on the other hand, believed that African Americans were not supposed to wait but rather to engage in all activities that would empower them in any way, including politics. He based his argument on the fact that they also had their political rights just like the whites, and so they were supposed to participate in governance to ensure that their needs were well incorporated in the state's decisions-making. As opposed to Washington Booker, Du Bois believed that African Americans had no point in proving to the whites that they were worthy of being treated equally, but they ought to fight demand what they were meant to receive as stipulated by the Constitution of the United States of America. He advocated for confrontation, while Washington advocated for the use of indirect means. Du Bois, having a black origin, was more vigorous in fighting for the blacks' prosperity as he really understood what humiliation they went through as a result of being discriminated against. Du Bois supported communism but always looked at the interests of his people. Washington, on the other hand, was very interested in the white culture and ideologies but played his part in helping the blacks move away from their problems. Conclusion. It is evident that the two leaders are remarkable, and both have played a great role in delivering African Americans from captivity under the hands of the whites. Although there are some similarities between the two leaders, the differences seem to be more due to the approach they took in their leadership efforts. All in all, they were able to achieve their objectives as leaders. This essay on W.E.B, Du Bois and Booker T, Washington, comparison was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.